Hey everyone, welcome back. In today's video, we are going to be taking an updated look at Guild Wars 2 in 2022. Specifically, I want to talk about the recent End of Dragons expansion. So this launched on February 28th, and I've been playing just about every day since. I finished the main story campaign, and I've gotten started on some of the longer term expansion progression. Things like map completion, unlocking more masteries, and eventually I'll get to properly gearing up my character once I figure out what I'm supposed to do. For now, this auction house exotic gear will suffice. I'm told it's totally fine. I'm told I don't need the craziest, highest level gear. But anyways, so this video is sponsored by Guild Wars 2. They reached out and asked me to do some more coverage of the game, which I was happy to do. I play this on and off throughout the years as it is in general. And I thought the best idea would to be kind of give you an overview of all of the major new stuff that was added with this expansion, just kind of a general lay of the land, like what's new, what to expect if you're coming back to this game for the first time in a long time. So I'll be touching on things like the newest zones that were added to the game, the new systems of Jade Tech, fishing, Skiffs, and the turtle mounts. And then of course there are the new elite specializations. And I will specifically be touching on the Mechanist in particular, which is the newest elite spec for my favorite class, the Engineer. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Now, like any MMO expansion, End of Dragons added several new playable spaces, all within this new region of Cantha, which is actually an old region, or rather it is one of the original regions from the first Guild Wars, and it's making its return into the sequel. I was told that this was like a fan favorite. I only dabbled with the first Guild Wars. I didn't play enough to know much, but yeah, after playing through the intro sequence, you'll get some of the stage setting for the events of the expansion, the story, the players involved, and then the first major new area that you will be visiting is Shinji Island, or more specifically the Saitung province. This is like this hilly mountainous island, and as with most of the expansion, it does have a heavy Eastern theming, from the architecture that's used to even like the plant life, the trees that you see around, lots of like blossoming trees, and it's a really pretty area. Aesthetic of this whole expansion I do find really pleasing. So you'll start off on the shores, and then you'll spend some time in and around these coastal town and these inlets, and then eventually you will progress towards interior of the island, towards larger cities that are at the base of this snow-capped mountain. Now you'll be here for a while, helping the citizens of the island, staving back some of the bad players that are involved, until the story moves you on to the next area, which is New Kaineng City. This is a massive, sprawling metropolis. It is quite literally an entire full-sized MMO zone that's 100% a city, and it's got to be one of the biggest I've ever seen. The large scale consists not only of the width of it taking up a zone, but also the height. Lots of verticality here with these towering structures you can climb, much of which will also have like these internal areas to explore. I really can't say it enough. This place is huge. Lots of like different little spots to investigate. You have all these like different apartments. There's even these underground sewer areas. And then after this city, the next zone that you'll be visiting, which is my personal favorite, are the Echovald Wilds. If you just envision an ancient forest with these huge 1,000-year-old trees, and then throw in some mystical Jade tech, that is basically this place. I really, really enjoy. In general, like the deep forest zones are always ones that I enjoy spending the most time in MMOs, and this is absolutely like delivering on that. Now, outside of those three major zones, there is one additional place that you will be going to in this expansion, but I don't want to spoil and show you everything. And even, I mean, yes, I've touched on the three zones, the first three zones here, but there's plenty that wasn't showcased in this footage for you to still see and explore. Now let's go ahead and move on to the new systems that were added with this expansion. So first up are the Jade Bots. These are these helpful utility devices, as they call them, and they will provide you with a lot of non-combat functions. So for starters, there are these zip lines. You'll find these all throughout the expansion in pretty much every single zone, and they'll just take you from one location to the next. You can also unlock a glider boost. So the glider, which was unlocked in the Heart of Thorns expansion, you can get a little extra boost for that, giving you some more airtime essentially. After you deploy your glider, you can shoot up in the air a few meters, and that just lets you reach otherwise inaccessible areas with your glider. There's also this rescue protocol, which can be used to revive you, and you can set up even a personal waypoint, and this is really cool. You know, the waypoints, the fast travel things all over Guild Wars 2, you can set one up wherever you want with this new Jade Bot. There are additional things like boost to your skiff, and there's a bunch of utility bonuses as well. Jade Bots, in fact, even have their own equipment for different stat boosts, and some of the Jade Bot interactions require the use of this charge, which you will get by interacting with batteries. There'll be batteries all over the place, and you'll just go to them, and it works as like a buff. You'll get a little charge, and then you can use one of those charges for things like a teleport station, for example. In addition to the Jade Bots, this expansion did add fishing to the game, so there's a host of new tools. You've got fishing rods, lures, and bait. The rods are used for the fishing, the lures and bait are used to basically enhance it. And now fishing, along with it, there is a mastery line that you can use to add different bonuses and just make you more efficient at fishing, show you where special pools are. The way it functions is pretty simple. Like a lot of MMOs, every sort of fishing thing tends to have like this kind of mini game mechanic. So you'll hit one to throw out your line. It'll go wherever your mouse cursor is. And then once it bobbles, which means that a fish has caught onto it, you hit one again. And then it starts this tug of war mini game where you are using A and D to try to keep in track with this moving target, essentially. As long as you keep the moving little pip in the center here within the parameters of the bracket that you have physical control over, it will continue to lure it in. And this will be easier or more difficult depending on your fishing skill and the type of area that you're fishing within. And then you gather the fish, and then those fish parts can be used for various things like crafting in this game. Now, to go right along with the fishing was the addition of the skiffs as well. These are personal watercraft, little boats that you can just maneuver around pretty much any waters in the game. I don't believe that I have found any waters so far where I've looked that I wasn't able to use these. They're pretty cool. So you just summon it up, and then you have a boat to move around with. And like a lot of this stuff, there is a mastery line that goes along with this as well to improve your skiff, to add faster bonus speeds. You can get the boost for the skiffs as well. And yeah, you just move these out onto the water. It's just another mode of transportation. But also, because it's like a physical object, you can then stop steering it, stand up, and begin fishing from the skiff. So you can just move around, find some good fishing spots, and then fish right from them. So it's cool. It's like another mount, but then it also has the extra bonus of being an actual object that you can fish from. And then finally, we have the addition of a brand new actual mount, which is the Siege Turtle. This is a new 2-player mount capable of being used not only for movement, but also in combat. It's got its own set of combat abilities that utilizes Jade tech. These are really, really cool. It's neat to see a multiplayer mount, and specifically to have like a combat focused mount. Now, I haven't even unlocked this yet myself, even though I've been playing since the expansion launched. There's just a bit more progression that I have to go through before I actually use the Siege Turtles, but they look really cool, and I am looking forward to unlocking them and eventually using them. And now let's move on to the elite specs. Now, as per usual for Guild Wars 2, this new expansion adds new elite specs for every class in the game. If you aren't super familiar, these basically give the classes access to a new type of weapon that they couldn't previously use, which in turn gives them those weapon skills. But then you also have a skill tree that opens up new ways to play, and in a lot of cases even adds new mechanics for the class. I decided to give the Mechanist a go. This is the new elite spec for the Engineer. Simply put, it gives the Engineer a mech companion, so it becomes like a pet class that has both offensive and defensive capabilities. In general, the mech is used to help attack in combat, and with the mech out, it actually replaces the tool belt with mech commands, and then the skill line lets you select exactly what each of those 3 commands do. So for example, for the first command, you can choose to have it be a ground slam and give all of the mech attacks a bleed bonus, or you can change it to a charging attack where he punches at the end, and this will also make mech attacks grant a damage buff for you and your party. Or the third option turns your mech's melee attacks into a ranged shot and will also make his attacks apply vulnerability. Now, there are similar alterations for the other 2 command slots as well, and all of this provides just a bit of flexibility. And it's not all just like variations of attack. I think for the second command, you can actually get a buff that will like clear debuffs and give you boons as well. So a lot of versatility here. It does all center around the 3 commands for the deck itself. So that's the big stuff. Those are a touching on of all of the newest additions added in the End of Dragons expansion for Guild Wars 2. Like I said, I've been playing it just about every day since this thing launched, and I've been enjoying my time with it. Now that I've finished the main campaign story, the narrative that is tied to this expansion, I'm just enjoying going around and doing the map completion, going around and doing the hearts, participating in the events, doing some of my daily quests. I still haven't really dove into the more structured end game, and I haven't even revisited Guild Wars 2's PvP yet with this expansion, but that's something I plan to do at some point later down the road. But that's pretty much a wrap for this video, giving you a nice overview of and touching on the major new stuff that was added to the game in 2022 with this new expansion. Hope it was helpful to you. Hope it gave you a bit more information, and hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you all as always for watching. I'll see you in the next one.